Okay, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our Common Sense channel. If this is your first time here, please hit the like button and subscribe button so you'll be alerted when I drop new videos. And also, return subscribers, also please hit the like button. And also, for new subscribers and return subscribers, please feel free to drop a comment in the video, especially what you have to say. Comments are definitely appreciated. All right, this is going to be I think it'll be volume 3 in a series that I haven't updated here in a while. It's going to be called "Should You Stay or Go?" And of course, we're gonna let it play, see what happens, and of course, I'm going to give my take on it. All right, let's begin.
This is Couples Court with the Cutlers.
This is the case of DeChico versus Abdel Khalid. You all have been together for 5 years. You live together, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Chico, you have concerns that your boyfriend is cheating on you, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to talk.
All right, let me say this before they continue. A lot of times when you're in a relationship with someone, especially if you're living together and if you have issues or problems or you believe that the person is cheating, then you have a decision to make whether you should stay. If you trust the person, you should decide to know if you should stay with the person or whether you should go. If you feel that they're cheating and you can't trust them, then I think it will be best for you to leave. All right, let us continue.
Talk about that in a minute, but before we do that, tell me how you all met.
Well, Your Honor, we actually worked together first. We were friends. We work in the same gym, and we had an event. It was around Valentine's Day. We had both been single for a while, and we were both flirtatious. I don't know, maybe I kind of made...
All right, let me say this before you continue. A lot of times, that's how a lot of couples end up meeting. A lot of times couples tend to, be friends. They work together, co-workers, and then a lot of times, sometimes they kind of like each other, and a lot of times it could, things sometimes can develop into something more. And then also, I know a lot of people have heard or hear about this thing called work husband or work wife and stuff like that as well too, even if they're in a relationship or not, or even if they're in a marriage or not. All right, anyway, let us continue.
Made the first move, I kicked it off.
I like when a woman makes her first move. What does that look like?
And let me say this too, and I agree with what she said, and I agree with what the judge said as well too. That a lot of times I think as guys that sorry to be friends with a woman, and if a woman really likes you or is really interested in you, then there's nothing wrong with her making the first move. I know some women like to wait for a guy to make the first move, and in a workplace, like I said, when you work together on a job, I think it's best that you let the woman make the first move, because if you're working on a job and you're a guy and you make the first move, sometimes you don't know if the woman really likes you like that she could say that you're harassing her, you can get in trouble, lose your job and get fired behind that. So I think, especially if it comes to a job or something like that, it's usually best to let the woman make the first move. And I feel that if you are interested in a woman, it's best not to talk to her on the job. If you're going to talk to her, I think it's best that you talk to her outside the job. Outside the job, maybe if you bump into her in the parking lot, bump into her in a store, mall, somewhere like that, wherever it may be. But long as it's outside the job. Just to be on the safe side for you guys. All right, anyway, let's continue.
It was Valentine's Day, and so I gave him a hug and a kiss, and he was shocked, and then he just kind of came back really hard and kissed me, and it got really intense right away. So that night we hooked up.
You had the butterflies working?
I did. It was he's a younger guy. I've never dated a younger guy before. It was unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I noticed there's a 12-year age difference. Is that right?
There is, Your Honor. There is.
Mr. Abdel Khalid,
Yes, Your Honor.
What was it about her that made you think, okay, I'm going to take it to the next level?
All right, let me say this before he begins. Like I said, a little age difference, whether a man is older or and a woman's younger, or whether the woman's older is younger. Long as I have no real issue with that. I think long as it's they're both at consensual age, long as I feel the man is 21 or older and the woman at least 18 years or older shouldn't be a problem. But I mean, a little age, maybe like 10 years, 15 years to me is okay. But in some cases, it is some cases where the man might be 30, might be 20, maybe 30 years older than her, than the woman, or the woman might be 20, 30 years older. I think it's kind of awkward. Not saying it can't work, but usually when it's a real big age difference, it's not usually love. In my opinion, it's usually not love. It's usually more of financial situation. Usually, if a younger woman gets with a real older man, that's really advanced in age, some man like 30, 40 years old or something, is usually she's with him because he usually has money in that case, or she's using him as a sugar daddy, or in some cases where a guy, he's in his 20s, he meets a woman that's 50 or 60, is that because he's looking at her as a sugar mama, as they say. But 5 years, 10 years, maybe 15 years, not too bad. But usually older is usually not love, is usually more transactional. All right, anyway, let's continue.
I mean, the first thing about her, that she's a really good person and she's a family woman. She knows, she takes really good care of me, and she knows how to take care of the family. So.
And so you all were.
Let me say this for the continue. Yeah, that's a good thing that all relationships should look for, especially that she's a good family woman, a woman that believes in family, and a man believes in family as well too. Well, both should try to be good to one another and everything like that. So that's definitely a major sign and a good plus, that she's good, family oriented, and a good family woman. All right, let's continue.
Together, good times, and you all have been together for 5 years. Is that right?
Listen, I love this man, and I know that he's been cheating.
All right, let me say this. Let me say this also before they continue. I feel that before a man or woman decides to get married, I feel they should at least be together for a few years. I say about 5 years or so. I think within 5 years of a relationship, if y'all are together, that should definitely be enough time to know each other, well enough to know whether you want to take it to the next level. So I think there's nothing wrong with man and a woman being together at least 5 years or so before they decide to take the next step or take it to the next level. Yeah, I would say that at least 3. I would say, in my opinion, should be at least a minimum to 3 years, 3 to maybe 5 years. And usually within 3 to 5 years, you definitely should know that within that time frame, whether if you should want to go to the next level, or get married, if that's something that you both want to decide or both want to do. 5 years is definitely, I feel, it's enough time to really know a person. All right, let's continue.
Cheating on me. I just want the truth out front in the open, and so there's no more lying, and I can do what I need to do. And
well, let me say this. A lot of times, I don't know if he is cheating or not cheating, but usually if it gets to this point where they're in a couples court situation and she's not sure if he's lying or cheating, then if she suspects he is lying or is cheating, then she needs to, and she feels she can't trust him, then I think she needs to just move on and shouldn't even, get to this point. A lot of times when it gets to this point, then usually most time the relationship is at the end, or if it's not at the end, it's definitely coming to the end. All right, let's continue.
And I have to do it.
Mr. Abdel Khalid,
Yes, Your Honor.
you've heard Mr. Chico say she thinks you're cheating. What are you here to prove today?
I'm here to prove that I did not cheat on this woman. I love her. I want this relationship to go on. I'm not a cheater. I did not cheat.
I'm tired of feeling like, it's
Well, let me say this also too, that if you, like I said, if it gets to this point where she feels that he's cheating and he has to come to court to prove that he's not cheating, then usually, like I said, this is a major sign, a major red flag, or major sign that the relationship is at the end or coming to an end. So basically, it's either relationship's at the end or it's on its last leg, as they say. And usually when it gets to this point, then it's usually both time to cut ties and move on. And, that's just my take on that, when it gets to this point. And I feel, if this is what a guy wants to do, if he really loves or cares about a woman, if this is what he chooses to do, to prove that he's being faithful to her and everything, then okay, fine, go and do it. Me personally, if I'm in a relationship with someone and they feel that that I'm lying or cheating and they can't trust me, then I would just tell them straight up, hey, maybe it's time for you to move on then. If you feel you can't trust me or you feel that I'm lying and cheating on you, then you just need to move on then. And that's why I feel it should be both ways. Whether not only just the woman who can't trust the man, but if the man feels that his woman is cheating, he can't trust her, I feel that he should cut it off and move on as well. All right, anyway, let us continue.
It's me. We had an event that we were supposed to go to with my parents, and that's when things went down. And I know that he's cheating on me.
Tell me what happened during this event.
What make you think he's cheating?
We were meeting for dinner with my parents. It was supposed to be nighttime. Usually when he's at the gym, if he doesn't respond or get back to me right away, he'll text me, or he doesn't just not respond. And that happened all day.
But what time was he supposed to be home?
Oh, he was supposed to be home at 5 o'clock.
All right, so 5 o'clock comes, he's not there.
5 o'clock came, so I had to cancel plans. He comes in at like 7:30.
All right, let me say this as well, too. Yeah, a lot of times when you have, when a situation like this happens and you have plans, yes, it's best if you're going to be late or whatever, you need to call or text, to let them know that, that I'm running late or I'm going to be late. It should not just be, blowing off. It should just be a respect thing. If you knew that he was going to be late or knew he wasn't going to be able to make it, he at least should have called or texted to let her know he wasn't going to make it instead of just ignoring her and blowing her off, because that's probably one of the reasons why she suspects that he is cheating, And I don't know if he is cheating or not, but if he is cheating, he needs to come clean with it. And he needs to, if he can't be faithful to this woman, then he should, let her go. And this is a major sign that someone might be cheating when they're supposed to, you call them, text them, and they don't call or text back, or they don't respond, or they're supposed to be you somewhere at a certain time and they don't, then more likely person is going to get the idea that something's going on, that they probably is doing something they shouldn't be doing. All right, let's continue.
I was just exhausted and drained from being up in my head. So when he came home, I was angry. And because I'm in crazy mode, I'm like looking now. And you know what I find is a bra. Yeah, in the car. So I come back and clearly you can see that this would not fit me.
It's amazing that she says that. That's her bra, actually.
First of all, this would never fit me. He knows, even when I was smaller.
Well, let me say this. A lot of times, I don't condone people who cheating. They shouldn't be cheating. But if you are cheating or going to cheat, you need to be smart about it and not leave any quote-unquote evidence behind like this. And a lot of times also, let me say this as well too, why it's on my mind, that a lot of times if a person is accusing their partner of cheating, not all cases, but in some cases, that person could be cheating. She's accusing him of cheating when possibly she could be cheating as well. Not saying she is, but it's a possibility that that can happen as well too. All right, y'all, let's continue.
That my boobs have always been the same size, and they sure as heck ain't fitting in that.
She gained weight.
Not every day. Not every day.
I'm going to let Miss Cutler be the judge of that.
Well, no, I don't think that would fit her. Can you see why she would think that bra belonged to someone you may be sleeping with?
I mean, I can see why she would think that, but that's not true.
Well,
All right.
Mr. Abdelkhalik, let me ask you this. The bra was in your car, but you were still 2.5 hours late
Yeah.
coming home. Who were you with?
On that day, I had a few extra sessions. That's it.
What kind
I'm
of
trying to make money so I can provide for this woman.
Yeah.
She's not appreciating that. It's always something.
See? He always.
But let me say this too: if you're in a relationship, whether you're a man or woman, and it seems like you're going over and beyond, and they're not satisfied, or it seems like whatever you say or whatever you do is not enough, then usually it's usually, as I say, it's usually a sign that maybe it's time to break it off, or cut things short. I mean, because some people, in some cases, not everybody, of course, but some people, in some cases, men and women, mostly women, but men and women have been some men too sometimes, get to the place that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, it's just never enough. And some people are what I call nitpickers. They nick and pick at every little issue, every little thing that comes about. And it seems like no matter what a person says or does, it's just never enough. And if you're with someone or with somebody, man or woman, and whatever you do is just not enough and they're nitpicky, then you have to decide on how long you're going to stay with that or deal with that, or just cut your losses. All right, y'all. Anyway, let's continue.
Does that. He always goes
that a
into
bad thing?
furious or like, I'm trying to provide. And that's why there's more. He was supposed to be with his family members, and I'm calling him, can't get in touch with him, doesn't answer, doesn't respond. Then when he comes home, I'm like, so I thought you were at so-and-so's house, but I called so-and-so, and guess what? You weren't there. But then he's going to say this other person that he's training, that you're supposed to be training in the gym, he's at her house doing meal prep.
Business.
Okay, you're actually at somebody's house cooking for him?
I'm not cooking for him. I'm showing him how to do it so
Yeah,
he can get
prepare-
the right
Which he
result.
already did in the gym. For him to do extra work, there's got to be something in it for him. Why is he going to people's house? What do you need to go to someone's house for and do that
I'm getting
for?
paid for that. I do that for all my.
Oh.
You both
And let me say this, like I say, that's why, one of the key things you got to have in a relationship is communication. And if you are on the up and up, he should contact and let him know that, hey, I'm going to a client's house to help them with this or whatever. And if she really trusts him, she should be okay, no problem. But then when you do stuff like this and you don't relate this to your partner, it gives the suspicion that something is going on, or you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, even though you may not be, but it gives that look that or suspicion that you are doing something you shouldn't be doing. All right, anyway, let's continue.
to their house. Wait. You go to their houses and help them set up their food.
Yeah, for the
Male-
first time.
What?
You show them how to do
Male
it.
and
You show
female
them how,
fine.
I show them how to do it for the
Fine.
first time, and then
Nice.
they know how to get on it after that.
Mr. Abdelkhalik, your argument, your explanation makes sense. You're training someone, you're doing meal prep, you're making extra money for both of you. It makes sense. I get that.
But
But there's a communication element that's missing.
And as I was saying, when you do things like this, when you're in a relationship and y'all live together, you have to communicate. You have to, out of respect for your partner, you have to communicate this type of thing, to let them know that, so that they know that you're on the up and up and everything is on the up and up. All right, let's continue.
And,
Maybe I can work on that.
but that's
I'm gonna
the
do
thing.
that.
When you say communication, that's why when Mustafa proposed to me, I said no because I believe he's cheating. And like I said, communication. I feel like he is not hearing me. And then why did he propose to me? Like right after this thing happened with the meal prep, like that was supposed.
And let me say this as well too, that if you're in a relationship with someone and if you're in a relationship with someone and you propose to them and they say no because they believe you're cheating, like I said, it's usually time to just let it go. And there's no need to stay with a person because if I propose to a woman and she says no, more likely 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be a done deal because I don't feel that a man should be chasing after a woman if she's not reciprocating the same thing to him as well too. So he proposed to her and she said no, she believes she's cheating, and if she believes she's cheating, she needs to let her go, and he needs to let it go too if she can't trust him or she doesn't believe him, she think he's doing something, that he needs to let that go as well. All right, anyway, let's continue.
Supposed to be a big, legitimate thing. He's going to come at me with proposing. So to me, that was manipulative. That was strategy for him to try to,
Well, a lot of times if a man proposes to you, most of the time it's usually not strategy. It's usually how he really feels, that he really wants to be with you and wants to be committed to you. Usually it's not manipulative strategy if a man, proposes to a woman. I disagree with that part. Anyway, let's continue.
So instead of proposal out of love, it was a proposal out of strategy and manipulation.
Absolutely, Your Honor. Absolutely.
Well, Mr. Chico, I see you brought a witness. Would you please stand and come to the podium? Would you please state your name for the court record?
Yes, Your Honor. My name is Harrison Bach.
Okay. And this is your mom?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Are you familiar with your mother's relationship?
Oh, yeah. We used to train together in the gym.
All right. What is it that you have observed about the relationship that this court needs to know about?
I noticed that Mustafa over here is not being faithful to my mother. Mm-hmm. And she deserves better.
What is it you have specifically seen?
Mustafa.
Let me say this too, and a lot of times if you're in a relationship like this and she has a grown child or grown son, the grown son should not be getting involved in his mother's relationship. Now, only time I feel that maybe he should get involved in a relationship, his mother relationship, unless he's doing putting her in and if he's done physically bodily harm to her, like if he's like putting hands on her, hitting her, pushing her, slapping her, or something like that. Yeah, I can understand he intervening, in that aspect. But other than that, if she's feeling that she's hurt or things like that, then no, he should not be getting involved in that. Now she wants to talk to him in private and he gives his advice or what he thinks that maybe she should do or something like that, okay, fine. But to be in this situation where they're in a couples court doing this, no, I don't feel that he should be doing this or doing that. No, totally disagree with this. All right, anyway, let's continue.
Mustafa over here is being very flirtatious with all the ladies in the gym. I don't know why he thinks he can talk to the ladies, let the ladies go all over him.
Okay. But, okay. Now, I know that looking at me, it doesn't look like I know much about the gym, okay? I'll own that. But I've actually occasionally had a trainer. Mm-hmm. And I can remember him, and I've had a female one too, holding my waist to do things right. Or like, no, you're...
Let me say this, and I look at the judge, he's looking at her like, huh? I feel, my honest opinion, that if a woman is married or the woman's in a relationship with a man, she should not have no male trainer. That's just my opinion. And also, of course, a man, I feel like this, if a woman is in a relationship or in a marriage, just as the judge is, then she should only have a female trainer. She should not be having a male trainer. And looking at him, he seems like looking at him, the judge, looks like he is looking at her like, what? He's got that look like, he's not okay with that. And to my wife, I wouldn't be okay with that either, her having a male trainer. So I can relate to that. And I feel that a woman that's married or in a serious relationship should not have a female trainer. Because a lot of times, in some cases, and not all cases, a lot of times, the male trainer is usually, when he's working on with a female client, especially if he's single, he's usually trying to push up on that woman. And in some cases, some women, whether they're married or in a relationship, sometimes they end up having a relationship or having relations with a male trainer. And that's why I feel that if a woman needs a trainer, she should have a female trainer, not a male trainer, especially if she is in a relationship or marriage. Now, if she's single, okay, that's a different story. All right, anyway, let's continue.
Your back's not straight or this is not straight. Right. So that's one. But I've also seen and heard them say, things like, oh, you're looking sexy today, work that thing. Or, oh, I can see
you see why he looking at her? You like, what? See, now he feels some type of way about his wife, having a male trainer, and the male trainer saying, hey, work that thing. You see how he looking at her? Like, what? Anyway, let's continue.
I've been to a gym or two in my day, and I'm not sure I've ever heard a trainer say, ooh, you look sexy, work that thing.
No. You're looking sexy today, work that thing.
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing, working the thing.
You haven't been to... They're trying to be motivational is what I'm saying, Mr. Cutler.
No, not trying to be motivational. Cut it out. Ain't being flirtatious. That's what that is. Ain't no motivational. Motivation would be like, all right, come on now, you can do it. Keep going, keep jogging, keep running, keep lifting those weights, keep running. That's motivational. All that looking good, girl, back it on up. That's not motivation. That's being flirtatious. Stop it. Stop the cap. All right, anyway, let's continue.
You look sexy today, work that thing.
Right. It's a women's gym. They try to make you, right. You know what I'm saying?
And that's trainer terminology.
But it's motivational terminology. So, did he ever do meal prep with you?
Never. Never.
All right, thank you so
Mr.
much.
Bach, you can have a seat. Thank you.
Mr. Abdel Khalid, are you touching women? Are they jumping on you? Or what is going on that this young man has observed?
First of all, Your Honor, I'm not dating him. I'm dating his mom. Uh-huh. So he has nothing to do with this, okay?
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely correct on that part. That's why I said earlier, that a lot of times when, in a relationship is between him and her, not the son. Now, like I said, only time he should step in or something, unless he's doing some real underhanded stuff, like unless he's putting hands on her, doing her bodily harm or things like that. Okay, I can see the son stepping in, but other than that, no. The relationship is between the man and the woman, and that's the way it should be. He should not be getting involved in their relationship and what they're doing. And he's absolutely correct on that part. I totally agree with that. All right. Anyway, let's continue.
But he was telling us what he's observed you doing in your gym.
If I was doing that, I would have been fired.
Okay.
A long time ago. Just because I'm nice to the women that I train doesn't mean that I'm being flirtatious with them. I'm not being, I don't want to have sex with them. I don't want to have sex with them.
That's all good and great, Your Honor, but enough is enough. Like, I am here today because I know that he's been cheating on me, and it's got to come out. And
let me say this: if you know that he's cheated or whatever, then why are you here? You need to just break it off. If you're dealing with somebody and you believe they cheated and you'll know that they cheated, then why are you still with them? You need to move on. You need to let it go. If you feel that you can't trust a person anymore, or you can't trust them, then you need to move on from them. Period. All right, let's continue.
I have evidence. This is a text message. Yeah.
And where did you
it
get
is.
the text message from?
I went all up in the phone and I saw some regular stuff, but this here, this is not regular and this is not normal.
Okay.
And
Let me say this too. A lot of times when you are living together and everything, you are in a serious committed relationship, and things of that nature, then it shouldn't be no issue with going through each other's phone. Him going through her phone or she going through his phone. All right, I just want to say that real quick. All right, anyway, let's continue.
girls
would you
should
grab
not be
that?
talking to him, telling them that they're so happy of hanging out with him and they can't wait to do it again. And for next time, I had such a good time with an emoji.
Okay, so
You don't send an emoji for a workout, like a heart.
okay, it says other woman. Sorry, it took a while to respond. I was getting my nails done. The defendant. Wish you were here too. Other woman. When am I going to see you again? We had so much fun the last time. Heart emoji.
Exactly. So much fun the last time. Nobody says that for a work.
Well, let me say this. The evidence she does, it does look incriminating. It does make it look like he is cheating. Not saying he is or isn't, but that does looks like he could be possibly cheating. And if she feels that he is cheating, like I said, she needs to just, decide on whether she's going to stay with him or let him go. And my opinion, if you feel he's cheating, you can't trust him, then she should let him go. Shouldn't even be to this point here. Anyway, let's continue.
Workout, especially with him. And Harrison can testify to that too. He will work you down like you're in pain. It's not had so much fun with a heart.
Okay,
Mr. Abdel-Khalik, who was it that you wish was there too?
You know,
No.
if you're a trainer and you're being
Oh,
nice
God, here we
to
go.
your clients, how's that evidence that you're having sex with them?
I can